another episode of Just in the Food Entrepreneurs podcast. I'm Justin Bizzarro. I'm your host. That's Bizzarro, and you can find us at Just in the Food Entrepreneurs on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you, everyone, for listening in. I know it's been a while since we did a podcast. We're constantly evolving. We have a new co-host, Skyler Rabson. Skyler, say hello to everyone.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. Excited to be here.
So Skyler is currently a senior at Georgia College in Milledgeville, Georgia. So he's making his way into Food Service Partners and Primal Rock and working on a Hustle and Grinders project for us. So Skyler will also be stepping in for Deborah as we go into sort of the Just in the Food Entrepreneurs 2.0 and becoming the co-host and helping me run the podcast and stuff like that. Also, everyone who's listening in, we've also launched the Centurion Leadership Battalion podcast, as well as the Scavengology podcast. Both are pretty awesome, so if you want to listen in, please do that. All right. Everyone listening in, thank you for listening in. And today I have with us Larry and Emily Johnson of Little Bites Food Truck from Atlanta, Georgia. How are you guys doing?
Fabulous.
So good. How are you guys?
So good.
We're doing very well. So let's just jump right into it. Tell me a little bit about your history. Do you come from entrepreneurial backgrounds, and sort of how did you get into owning a food truck?
You want to take it? Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So Emily here. Thanks for listening. Give us a like on Facebook and, follow us for, our schedule. Anyway, so my parents they've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. My mom was a nurse, my dad was an electrician, but they did a side hustle that they went to fairs and festivals. It was called Hopkins Nut House, and then it just evolved and grew and things like that. I went on to college and did stuff, and, I would help them when I could, but went into corporate world and got married, got divorced, and then met Larry. And so I was like climbing that corporate ladder, and then it was just, I couldn't go any further. I didn't want to do it anymore. And there was one night where Larry?
We were laying in bed, and Emily was doing one of those like Ask Your Partner Facebook quizzes. And the question was something like, what do you see your partner doing in her life to make her happy? And I was like, cooking, something with cooking. You love cooking. We were the house that, like, all the neighbors would come and eat at, and it just like a lightning bolt hit us. And then the next day we talked about it again, and we were like, let's quit our stupid corporate jobs and open a food truck, and let's jump off a cliff together. And at the time, like, I had zero culinary or kitchen or any sort of experience in that. Like,
none.
We joked that I didn't know which end of a knife to hold when we started this business. And
don't worry, I didn't either. No culinary background when I got into this. Yeah.
So
but it was a leap of faith. It really was. We had a aha moment and looked at each other and said, not only we can do this, we're going to do this. And we did. And we said, if we're going to do it, we're going to go all in. And we did. Yeah, and that's kind of what it takes sometimes.
And I came from a market research background, so during the time leading up to opening, we had about 20 things we were thinking about doing, because when we opened the truck, we were branded as Little Bites American Tapas. We were going to do like a tapas truck, and our theory was, people buy like 4 or 5 little items, cheaply priced items. They'll buy 4 or 5 of them, and that'll make a decent ticket, and then that's how we opened. But we realized that wasn't going to work, because people just like buy 1 or 2 items, and we had like, $7 tickets and stuff.
And it's a pain in the ass to make stuff that's good, but in miniature size. And so that was also like the prep time was a bitch.
Yeah. So, but in lead up time, once we had like 25 items we were thinking about doing, we spent like all of our free time at like Truck and Tap. Are you guys familiar with Truck and Tap in Woodstock and Alpharetta?
I've heard of, actually from that area, so I've been around places like that, and yeah, that's a cool place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. So we spent all our free time there basically just doing market research, and just like while people were waiting for their food, just asking them, hey, if this list of 20 items was on the menu today, what would you guys want to buy? And we talked to probably close to 500 people, at various times with that. And then I, did tabulating and stuff. And so we had a pretty good idea of what menu we were going to be able to sell right away. And then obviously over the 3.5 years that we've been open, it's changed quite a bit. Anyway, but at least, we felt good about opening the window the first time that people were going to like it.
So what's on the menu now? I mean, sort of describe what's on the menu now. And I mean, any stories of those items would be great, because I think people really can start to visualize how you came up with those items.
Sure, yeah. Like when we first started, we were doing like brisket and buffalo chicken quesadillas, and then some empanadas.
It was buffalo chicken.
Yes, taquitos at first, which was a giant pain in the ass. But
fried goat cheese with roasted red pepper jelly. That's what we started with. Again, those are a pain in the ass. They're amazing, but they would just blow apart in the fryer. So. And then we started to evolve not only with what the customers were wanting and ordering, but what was more feasible to be able to prep realistically.
Yeah, and get out the window fast, because that became the problem with the quesadillas. We have a small flat top, and we could only make like 2 or 3 quesadillas at a time. So ticket time started to back down a little bit, and then in that time, I took Emily back to Philadelphia, where I'm born and raised. And she started reverse engineering cheesesteaks in her mouth. And
that sounds so weird.
I know, right? And so she started just making cheesesteaks around the house, and they were amazing. It was like a taste of Philly for me. And I was like, look, why don't we just get rid of the quesadillas and start doing cheesesteaks, because we can do a whole bunch of them at a time, and that'll help with that. So now we do Philly cheesesteaks with, real ribeye, bread from Philadelphia, Cheese Whiz the traditional way, Amorosa rolls from Philadelphia. We do chicken cheesesteaks, and then we do a lot of empanadas now. In the beginning, we were only doing like buffalo chicken empanadas.
Yeah, here's your story. If you want a story about how some of our menu items came to be.
Yeah, so empanadas came about. We started doing the buffalo chicken. They were really popular. We used to do like pork sandwiches. And they never sold a lot. Our dog was always happy because there was always leftover pork, it seemed. But that really wasn't the best thing for us. So we started to stuff them in empanadas as well. So now we had pork empanadas, which became really popular. And then somebody came to the window one day and said, "What are those buffalo chicken pandas?" And from that moment on, the empanadas were just known on the truck as pandas. And
we've ran with it,
and we've run with it with panda ears, and a lot of our ads, our promotional stuff has pandas. And Emily is sort of a bit of a raccoon by nature, so she wears raccoon ears, and we do a lot of kids stuff too, where we do like food truck parks where there's nothing for kids. And we saw that as a need, and we provided like kids menus, and so kids can eat at these food truck parks, so parents can just stand in one line instead of having to, feed their kids, then go to get their shawarma or sushi or whatever. And so, we do a lot of breweries as well, which if you guys have been to breweries lately, know that they're basically daycare centers with drinking.
Glorified daycare centers.
So, we tend to cater to children and drunks is sort of what we say, but that's the joy of our brewery type of menu, and we've fully embraced that. We printed up like coloring books with animals in them for the kids at the breweries, and now we do like 4 or 5 different empanadas. We do a pepperoni pizza empanada, and a chicken cordon bleu, and a chicken parm.
Went back to the brisket.
Oh yeah, we do. The brisket quesadillas that we don't do anymore, we now do as an empanada. So
turns out you can put just about anything in an empanada shell as long as it's good. And,
people love them. So we do pandemonium nights where we'll do like 6 different kinds, and people can get flights of empanadas, so they try one of each flavor. And
pandemonium, I love it. I'm laughing hysterically. I had to unmute the mic because I'm just like, it's very clever. I love the just letting sort of the clientele sort of trip you into what you were going to call your business, or what's become really your marketing claw, if you will, the thing that anchors you, or at least right now.
Really.
Yeah, well, that's one thing I will say is that, and especially towards people that are looking to get into this industry, these are some of my words of sage advice in my, old age in this business, 3.5 years. Don't be afraid to try something new. However, don't get locked into something because that you had an idea and you think it's good and you had 12 people in your family say that was amazing. You got to do what sells, and you got to test and be willing to say, well, as amazing as this is, it's not, one, cost effective, two, time effective when it comes to prepping, or three, time effective when it comes to getting it out the window. So those are three of the things that you really need to take into consideration when you're making your menu. Because there's a lot of things I would love to have on the menu, but they don't make sense. Not when people are wanting just, food like that.
So, I mean, I think that's a great transition part right here, which is what was the transition for you? Because I find a lot of people that go into being food entrepreneurs or into food trucks find there's a big transition from being kitchen smart, which is being able to use your kitchen in your home, to actually food service smart. For example, like a street smarts in the business. And so, I mean, what was that like for you guys? I mean, because I think a lot of people imagine it's just, if I can cook in my kitchen, I can cook in a business and I can create a product. And so what was that like for you guys?
Well, for a few weeks, it felt like we were drowning because maybe we overextended ourselves. I'm not even going to lie. It was like, holy shit, what have we gotten ourselves into? We just built a $40,000 trailer. And, that was crazy, but we adapted. And
I had no preconceived notions about a kitchen, having zero idea what to do. So I had to literally learn which end of the knife to hold from scratch, basically, and just to be helpful. But my role originally was to be more of the front of house, taking the money and stuff like that. But that's also evolved because of my back. Basically, leaning out the window was killing my back. So now I run the back end of the house, and Emily is the adorable raccoon face at the window.
I do have really good customer service skills.
You do, you really do.
And it's fun to adjust with the customers too. Sometimes I tell them what they're going to order when they don't know.
But now Emily has trouble cooking for just the family, because it's like, how do I just make food for 3 people? What do I
make 75 portions for 3 people.
I've run into that. It took me a long time before adjusting for that. Even for the holidays, it was just over consumed, because I just, in my mind, it never looked like enough being in food service when you're trying to produce food for people. So I totally understand that. So you guys obviously work together, and so that's a new dynamic for any relationship. So 3.5 years ago, you decided you're going to dive in together, which I understand. Deborah and I work together now for 8 years. So I work with my significant other, and she came in to the business. So a little bit different, but we have started multiple businesses now together and work together. So for me, I'm always curious, what's that dynamic look like for you guys? And you've talked about how you kind of role reversed in the middle of it, which I find Deborah and I have done time to time as things have happened. One's taken on another, or one's discovered a talent that was unknown.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
Okay, so you're the statistics of people that work together in the restaurant industry that are married are 75% of them get divorced. It's something like that. I made up that statistic. I don't know. Anyway, but that being said, when we went into this, we decided that we know that it's going to be a small workspace. We know we're going to fight. We know we're going to have little bickering moments. But what we're going to do after that is leave it on the truck and move on. Sometimes, it's a small workspace, so sometimes we're going to bicker, sometimes we're going to fight, we're going to have disagreements, but we're still business people, and the best thing we can do is just leave it there and just move on.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. We that's what we said was, no matter what happens on the truck, it stays on the truck. Because, sure, I might snap, you might snap, but it's nothing personal. It's not.
He doesn't know what's going on at the front of house. I don't know what's going on at the back of house. Maybe a fryer went out. Maybe there's a customer that's being a jerk. You don't always know what the left hand doesn't always know what the right hand's doing. So you have to be willing to say, okay, all right, we're gonna leave that there and just move on.
Well, and I think part of it's trust, and I think something just in relationships in general, which I agree with what you guys said, which is I don't know what's going on in that part, but I have to trust them to know what they're going through, and then vice versa. They don't know what I'm going through because I'm in the back of the house, and I think that can be applied to a lot of different things. We always don't know what the other partner's doing in life or in business, and so we sometimes, snap or whatever. But I think a grain of salt, because we're all just, especially in food, I think food is just such a rapid paced business when you're moving and when things are good, that that they're more stressful. Go ahead.
Yeah, you want 3-minute ticket times or less, and it's again like the internal workings of our of Little Bites is the footprint in which you can move in is about 3.5 feet wide by about what 14
feet.
14 feet. So like there's times when we've had 4 people on the truck, and that's a lot. So you got to be able to, take some things and just move on, because you're going to bump into each other, you're going to run into each other, and things are going to happen.
Yep. And those parts work for us. So.
I've only stabbed him once.
That's true.
It was accidental though. I dropped a knife and it bounced into his calf.
Oh, nice.
What she says.
Did you
I
have
say I
stitches?
trust her. Yeah. No stitches. So.
No stitches.
But I do have, snitches do get stitches. However, that was accidental, but it did, like I dropped the knife and it just bounced right into his calf.
Yep. And I just kept making goat cheese balls as if it didn't happen.
One of the first things.
So, you've obviously grown and you have this business. We've just went through COVID, which I don't even, let's talk about that a little bit. Did it affect you guys? How did you pivot as entrepreneurs? How have you pivoted as entrepreneurs even before COVID?
Sure.
How do you go through, because you guys are obviously still doing well and staying true to your plan, but obviously there's been tweaks there and hardship.
Yeah, it was, we first started, we had this vision of doing a lot of lunches and stuff. And then we sort of started doing breweries and realized that was going to be our bread and butter. Some people that we knew at like the commissary kitchen were like, oh, breweries are no good. And blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, maybe it was what you serve. It doesn't work at a brewery, but what we serve will and did. So, we got into a lot of breweries, and then, word of mouth got us a lot of, parties and things like that, and graduation parties and weddings. And then the Monday before St. Patrick's Day 2 years ago now, I guess, COVID year, we basically lost 31 gigs on that Monday, between phone calls and breweries that were closing, for the pandemic and events that we had scheduled. So yeah, 31 gigs canceled that Monday. That was Black Monday for us. And we day drank quite a bit that day on the sofa. And then the next day we left our house and just started writing down neighborhoods near the house, as like as close as possible, and just
or near the commissary.
Yeah. And just started writing down names, and came home and just started reaching out to the HOAs on Facebook or finding their HOAs and just telling them like, hey, all your people are trapped, they can't go anywhere to eat, nobody can go anywhere. What if we provide online ordering? You pick your time that you want to pick it up, and contactless. We just, we cook it, bag it, put it on the counter. You swing by, grab it, and go. And that kept us in business basically. That April was better than our previous April, which we never thought was going to happen. We were in full panic mode. But yeah, basically we were unbooked for 6 days when that happened, and then we were back to pretty much booked 4 to 5 days a week again, every week after that, until breweries started to reopen a little bit again. And and that was challenging too when they started opening, because the breweries are open. We still didn't want to do like walk up orders. We weren't, there was no vaccine in sight.
No one knew how it was being implemented.
We're out in the suburbs where, a lot of times they don't believe there's a pandemic still. And, we were like, look, it's all still online ordering, guys. That's the deal. We're not taking walk-ups. And what's funny is the winter before, we again, working in a lot of breweries and it's cold, we realized people don't want to necessarily come out. So we printed menus with like just a Google Voice phone number on it and said, hey, just text your order out to us. We'll buzz you when it's ready. You just come out and pay. And then, you don't have to stand out there twice or wait for it or anything. And people loved that. People loved being able to do that. So when they could do it, they loved it. When they had to do it, they were less thrilled. So there was pushback when it was required. But Emily built like a little stand that we put a tablet on that went right to our online ordering page. So if people didn't want to do it, like, oh, I don't have my phone, I can't do it. Duh. Like, well, do it right there. We're sticking with this. And, all that got us through it. And then, knock wood, the vaccine came and things have picked up again, and things are good, knock wood.
I found that a lot of entrepreneurs, similar, whether it's food trucks or restaurants that went to a similar strategy, were very successful through COVID and found, again, upswings and found new loyal customers and things like that. Obviously an unfortunate event, but amongst all of it, the need to pivot, the sort of forcing the people to strategize and how to get through it, really put the premium companies and entrepreneurs sort of at the top right now, which is interesting when that always happens, because I feel so bad because there's a lot of restaurants and stuff that struggle through this period. But anyone that's out there, you can't think that life is going to always be the same, or that your method going into something is going to be the same getting out of it. I mean, our business is so twisted and turned now at Food Service Partners and Primal Rock compared to what we were 3 years ago. And we're a pretty big company. And so, I can't imagine what it was like for you guys feeling that stress on that stress level. But adjusting in 6 days, I think, is pretty phenomenal. And I think that that's the type of thing that we're talking about when you're an entrepreneur. You can't get caught up in the feelings or whatever I got to think about it for a day. I'm going to have to process it, but then I got to move forward. Okay, it sucks today. I'm going to cry it out today. I'm going to sit in my feelings, but tomorrow I got to use it, logic my way through this, and start to be productive on testing new ways to get us out of this situation.
Fix it. Yeah, and that's, you couldn't have said it better, honestly, because that's what we did. We looked at each other and we said, okay, well, this sucks. And I think we actually said to each other, all right, we're taking the day. Tomorrow we're going to figure this out.
Yeah, we built an online watering website in a day.
We pivoted so hard, so fast. I think we were ahead of the curve, and I think that's why we got booked so quickly, to the point where we were almost overbooked. Like we couldn't even and then you want to talk about supply chain. Now that where we are now, that's a whole nother story. But we got to the point where people were like, "We love it, we want you," and then it was almost overbooked. So, it was. I'm proud of what we've done, and you can't have your feet in the quagmire. You got to be able to say when something happens, let's fix it. Like you said it really well.
And I love it because we've seen it, at least for me, in the 2 decades now I've been an entrepreneur, going on 3. Is with the financial crisis we had, and now with COVID, that the entrepreneurs that really are like, okay, let's just go back to square one, back to the basics, and rebuild and figure out where we have to pivot and have real honest conversations, and then pivot hard. And then at that point, you have no choice but to step on the gas. At that point, if you're going to survive, you've got to keep moving ahead of the tidal wave. It's that type of feeling. And I've found it successful to get through it twice that we've gone through it. I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs and people that I mentor and I'm friends with that's what they do. They pivot like you guys did, and then they hit the gas like you guys did. And you have to be aggressive during hard times or you won't survive. I know it's a total anomaly, and the human brain's like, nope, pause, go to safety, crawl into a corner, protect my money, squirrel it away or whatever. But if you're an entrepreneur, especially in food, people need to eat. That's the time to pivot with a plan and be aggressive and learn whether it works quickly or not, or pivot again or tweak it. So
Yeah.
it's very important. So I'm glad that we're talking about this, because I think it's just so needed right now when everyone's sort of like, what do we do? And is it gone, or is it back, or are we masking, or aren't we masking? But the reality is you just got to pivot, and you got to be committed, and the world's going to look different.
And people still got to eat, and we're going to fill that need, and we're going to figure out whatever way we can, whether it's contactless, online, or what, just mask, however it works. Like, people got to eat, like you said, but we're not the people that like sit and go, oh no. We've seen a lot of food trucks close their doors because they didn't want to adapt. Yeah. But that was not, we can't, that's not in our character and our nature. So we adapted, but we've seen a lot of restaurants and food trucks just close down. They're like, can't do it.
Yeah, or they rely on like food truck bookers and stuff, and then the bookers didn't know what to do. So then that trickled down to the trucks. And so, fortunately, after about our first year, we sort of stopped using bookers for the most part and just found our own stuff.
Yeah, we don't like to pay people to go places.
To do our work, yeah.
Yeah, we market ourselves well enough where we don't have to pay someone that does like food truck bookings for the most part.
Yeah, and I find it that as COVID has gone through, that people, if you can build the personal trust and start building long-term relationships with people personally, it goes a lot farther than it ever has before, even just because it is so easy to write a text or an email or whatever, or have an assistant do it for you, or whatever, that personal touch or that personal contact with an owner or the business itself goes so much farther these days, because everything is everyone's at such distance behind masks and behind whatever, that if they can talk to someone that's relatively caring about the business and today's needs, that they feel can make a decision, I think it's going a lot farther than we've seen in a long time, because we're sort of barriered in one way, but also able to communicate through those barriers openly, so
yeah, the narrative of customer service and service workers is being rewritten right now, is what it feels like.
Absolutely. And I think we're going to see the whole food service industry change in terms of the way we serve food, in terms of what's expected from service. I think we're getting less customary to needing the contact in the same way and needing it delivered in the same way. And we've seen it. I mean, I see it in our business all the time, online sales or online orders. And anyone we're consulting for or I'm mentoring in the restaurant world, their online orders are through the roof. It's what everyone's doing. They prefer to grab it and eat at home.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on these delivery services, Grubhub, DoorDash, all of those? What are your thoughts on it?
If you're a growing business and you don't have the resources, I think they're a necessary stepping stone for your business. I think they serve a purpose. But where they lack for me, if it were me and I were trying to grow my business, I don't know what the most important thing you have is that contact to the client, and you're relying on someone else to do it. So I guess it's like relying on FedEx or UPS. Just from my own experience, I feel that it's better if you can have good quality people that are delivering the food and building a relationship with it, even if it's leaving it at the door, or even if it's signing it as a note as a small business. That's just me though. But do I see their purpose and how they help small businesses? Sure. I think they take the personal touch out of it, if I were to be honest. And I get ghost kitchens and all of that stuff. And I'm not saying to not follow the opportunity, but I'm an entrepreneur.
We're on this. I think you're being a little delicate when you're saying what you're saying, because we absolutely. I mean, I feel bad for people that are trying to be employed right now and they use them as a means to an end for employment. But when it comes to it, like if there's someone between me and the customer that's handling the food, I don't want that ever. So for us, like people have reached out to us multiple times about, can you DoorDash or Grubhub or any of those other things? And, I, again, like you said, I understand the need and how it's, it's filling that. But like for us, it's just one of those things where like we're small business and we do have that personal touch, and we want to continue to have that, and not worry about someone
eating half the fries.
That's kind of yeah.
I mean, I think it masks your brand. I think it puts a mask over your brand. I think that's one of the hard parts about it, especially if you're trying to build something. I think there's a lot of things that are in the way there. I get the business model. I 100% do. It's just not my model, and it's certainly not the way I've seen successful businesses built, from my perspective. But I get it. It's a shortcut. It's a shortcut that's, I don't believe, pays off in the long run. And if you look at Domino's and any franchise that's successful, they still do most of their own deliveries, and they control that process. And in fact, they're investing more money into it, whether it's a robot or trucks that now heat the pizza or whatever, because they want to give extra personal touch.
Right.
Domino's has always been, at least from my, when I look into it, like we research and we look into other companies and things, Domino's has always been customer focused and that personal touch. I feel like.
Well, and here's the thing, like as a business person, I do a lot of fulfillment meals direct to consumers online and all that, both for our own companies and for other companies as co-manufacturer. But I'll tell you this, like even with FedEx, UPS, and the Postal Service, like they're still just providing a service. They're not making you put FedEx all over the box. You can still put it in your box. So they're just providing the service, but you're still, as long as they do their job, how the presentation is of the box and the opening of it is mostly in your hands. At least it used to be a lot more than it is now, because I can't believe how bad packages are getting messed up. But, you still have a little bit of control there, where I feel like the DoorDash and the whatever, like you're totally giving up the brand and the imaging, and
everything.
You've basically just sterilized the delivery of your food and the chance to actually interact with a client or a customer. And so I don't know, it feels like a shortcut to me, and shortcuts have never gotten me anywhere. And like I've said, people I've consulted for, and we used to build and design restaurants. I've never had success with any of those things long term. And any client or customer that you get on those are loyal to that brand. So they jump around restaurants all the time, and they look for deals, and they end up costing you more money than they're worth, honestly.
Yeah, it's like putting a Band-Aid on the Hoover Dam when it's about to explode. You can't, it's, like it may work for a little bit, but it's, yeah, so that's our opinion on them anyway. And I hate it for people that need work and then they do that and then people don't tip. And that's a whole nother conversation that I'm not even going to have. I feel bad for these people that are working for tips. The whole tipping structure in the United States is flawed.
Yeah.
But we'll leave that be. But yeah, like we're very adamant about not using delivery services and making sure that we have that personal interaction with our customers, and that I'm handing the food to them, Larry's handing the food to them, like they're getting it directly from me, and I don't have any worry about like what happened in between it left me and they got it. So.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me. I think fast food and drive-thrus is one thing, and I see fast food starting to use it, and here nor there, but to me, it's going to be the death of the fast food restaurant, because now you're playing in the rank with everyone else instead of holding true to what you are. And it's just, I don't know, I'm an entrepreneur, so when everyone's jumping into one thing, I tend to like pause and be like, oh, okay, the crowd's going that way. That's either one, saturated, two, something's not right, or there's not enough opportunity for me to squeeze out a penny out of, so I look somewhere else. But in looking somewhere else, I've just found that there's nothing better than a personal touch, whether it's me or someone I train or someone that understands food service partners or lives by our core values. I don't have any idea how they hire someone, what their criteria is, what the background check was of that person, so on and so forth. So, there's some of that as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, like what you said, fast food is going to, like the dine-in fast food is going to die because of this. Like the drive-through stuff is going to happen. But like you keep going back to, we pride ourselves so much on the experience. We're smaller. We have a smaller footprint than a lot of these other big trucks. So we make up for that with our personality, our branding. We all wear ears. We all have spirit animals. Kids come up to the truck sometimes, and if they're super excited about it, we give them animal ears. We give them coloring books.
Adults too get ears.
Yeah.
They buy a T-shirt, they get ears.
Yeah, and then if you wear them back to our food truck, the next time you see us out, we give you a 15% discount on your food. So it's creating that experience, not just getting food. We're creating experience.
Well, and I think that's part of it. And if we really look at food and what fast food was, like when someone went into a McDonald's, it was more than just getting the Happy Meals, the experience of the Ronald McDonald there and the playground and whatever. And so when you take away people's ability to touch something, like they lose the emotional tie to it. Like I had emotional tie to Chicken McNugget because I saw the little Chicken McNuggets running around all the time as a kid, right? When I go into the place, but you don't get that anymore. And so, and it's very essential. And here's the other thing that I love what you guys are doing. Like we necessarily haven't done it in the right way or in whatever kind of way, but in the United States. But what we found is that if you can build a child's loyalty to a brand early on, that's a long lifetime customer for you. And whether we've done it through cartoons or whatever, and promoted necessarily whatever, we haven't regulated how we promote it, but they've literally become just out of coincidence. Everyone knows who the Lucky Charms guy is. I know who Tony the Tiger is. Like I could probably name all of them. And if you ask Skyler, they're all on the wall in the form of the pops for food icons in the studio, because I'm reminded of how impactful food can be and branding food can be to generations. And so that's what you guys are doing. I mean, you're literally impacting children and building a brand from there. And I think in doing it the right way, you're making it part of the adventure and part of the experience and part of the fun and the happiness, because that's what fast food used to sell. Like it was the happiness. It's called a Happy Meal for a reason, and probably the happiest meal on the planet, because somehow everyone believes it'll make you happy, even as a kid. And so it's that type of thing that you guys are doing that I think is monumental, and I think it's something that we're losing in food, particularly in the United States, in that we're not giving it that personal touch of making food fun and making it enjoyable and memorable.
Yeah, food's more than just the taste in your mouth. I mean, that sounded weird, but food is definitely more than just calorie intake. Food should be an experience. It should be visual. I love food. I've always loved food, and this is kind of like Larry said, why we got into this. I love to explore with food and make new things. And another thing we'll do is like we have a whole lot of regulars, and then we'll try a new menu item out. We'll find those people, and we're like, hey, you want to try something new? And we do that, and we bring it to them, and they're just super excited about it because they know we know who they are, and then they get to give us the feedback on something that's a possible new menu item. I mean, it doesn't get more personal than that for the most part.
Well, and then they have huge buy-in, and then they talk about it with their friends. Hey, I tried this new thing. Like, it's a big deal. Like, and that's something you can't get in the way things are going and sort of in the way we're doing things and sort of masking what it is. Everything's being Ubered and mass solution to everything, but it takes away the personal touch and almost the entrepreneurship of the learning experience. Like, you want to make your business better, go interact with your clients or deal with them when the order's cold instead of having, a DoorDash deal with it, because you will learn a lot from dealing with customers and client management and ultimately how to manage employees as your business grow. Or if you ever want to be multiple food trucks, for example, you're going to have to learn how to navigate those waters so you can train other people to navigate them, because they'll never do it as well as you as an entrepreneur or an owner, because they'll never care as much. It's just the way it is. But,
absolutely. I look at business 100% differently than I did when I was, waiting tables at 22 years old or whatever, bartending. Once you're a business owner, you see things through a different color lens. and you see what the brand you're selling, you see what you're trying to represent, and it's definitely, and I don't care, anybody can say, oh, I love my job, and I know, until you're an actual business owner, you really don't see exactly how you can impact people and want to just do better every day.
Yeah, I'll tell you a funny story about customer loyalty too. This came about, this married couple, Nate and Rebecca, regulars out at Nofo Brewery that we go to quite a bit. They were at another brewery one night, and Rebecca loves when we do our chicken parm subs. Okay, we don't do them all the time, but when we do them, she's very excited. Chicken Parmesan sub. And so they were at a different brewery, and she saw on Instagram we posted that we had our fried raviolis that night. And we serve our fried raviolis with marinara sauce. So she turned to her husband. She's like, they have the fried raviolis. That means they have the marinara. That means they can make me the chicken parm. Get a check. We're leaving. And they left where they were. She
wrangled her whole crew.
She took that. She had that roadmap to chicken parm in her head once she saw we had marinara. And they came out, and she got her chicken parm sub, and she was a happy camper. Even though it wasn't on the menu, it was like, yeah, we got it on the truck. We'll make it for you, of course.
What's funny is they're glampers.
Yeah. So we thought that was funny.
That's amazing. I love that. Yeah. It was like Pavlov's dog rang the bell, sort of. And that's exactly what happens when people like something. You know, you can trigger those type of things by reminding them, which is a good segue to, I mean, tell me about your guys' marketing and your advertising if you're open to it. Do you guys handle that all yourself?
Larry,
we do.
I'm gonna just stop you right here for a second, and I'm gonna let you take the floor.
Okay.
Larry is a marketing genius, and he takes it and he runs with it, and he's amazing. So tell him what you do.
Oh, you.
I figured since we had the conversation of owning your stuff and getting to own it, and with the marketing background, that you probably weren't going to turn it over to anyone else either. So
yeah, for sure. And I have a photography degree as well. So like all of our food pictures and stuff, I take all of our food pictures, and I feel like it's important for a continuity when you're showing your images. Like if you look at our website and you go to like the gallery, that the same person took all those pictures, basically. It's like I try to style the food the same way. The font that describes what it is always the same. We want people to recognize that, outline font and go, oh, Little Bites. Okay, yeah, I know those guys, with the food, and we post quite a bit on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and stuff, and that's basically managed to keep us going. People seem there, and our menu is very interactive. You can order online, and we have a lot of sign up for VIP and all that, and if you write a review, you can enter to win $500 gift certificate or $500 basically. Yeah, and we just started a punch card program for our empanadas. It's the Panda Passport. So if you buy 10 empanadas,
that's awesome.
If you buy 10 empanadas, you get we do these Kenny's Key Lime Pie. It's a big key lime pie company here in Smyrna. We do key lime pie bites. So we basically deep fry key lime pie in funnel cake batter, and they're just amazing. We used to do fried Oreos, but a couple other trucks were doing fried Oreos, so we felt like we had to up our dessert game. And so we do these amazing key lime pie bites.
Kenny's, which is local.
Yes, which I said. And so if you buy 10 empanadas, you get free key lime pie bites. And our theory is once you've eaten them once for free, you're definitely going to buy them again. So we know you like the empanadas. You've already bought 10 of them. So we're not going to give you an extra empanada. That seems, I'll give you something else.
They are delicious. Yeah. I have had them. As I've spent more time in Georgia over the last 7 years, I'm starting to discover all the little towns have all their little specialties here and there throughout Georgia. If anyone's ever driving through Georgia, you could literally trip over the towns here and there, but every town has its own amazing thing here and there. So I mean, even Georgia fruitcake, which doesn't sound very good, but you stop in one of the stores and they're one of the most amazing bakeries of other items and stuff you've ever had. So it's just cool stuff.
I know. I don't know if Larry knows. He's from Philly. I'm born and raised Georgia Peach, so I do know.
Yeah, we reached out to Kenny's. Emily reached out to Kenny's, and we just buy an 18-pound jug of filling, and make them. They're amazing.
Oh, that sounds
And I will not
delicious.
share my secret.
Yeah.
I will not share my secret. They even said, Kenny's, when we went to pick it up the first time, they're like, we've only heard of one other person being able to figure out how to deep fry these. And it was in Texas. And I said, all right, cool. So now normally when people ask me about like my recipes and stuff, I'm willing to give them tips and how I do things, but those, nope, that's a proprietary secret.
So, what are your favorite things from the food truck? Like, if you could pick one thing that you guys make that is each one of your favorites, what would it be? And is there something that's you make that's your favorite? And is there something that the other person makes that's your favorite that you don't make on your own? I guess would be a good question.
So sometimes I ask, what is my favorite to the back of house? Because we maybe have one more items of one than the other, but don't tell people that. You can edit that. But I mean, the Phillies really are very good because it is actual ribeye. We don't buy steakums. We don't buy
Steak on a piece of paper.
Yeah, it's hand trimmed, hand cut, actual ribeye. So and on an Amorosa roll. So those are great. What is my favorite? Oh my goodness. The pork empanadas are amazing. Pulled pork empanadas with a spicy barbecue dipping sauce and a side of pickles. Really good.
Yeah, you really. I mean, the Phillies are
baked cheese.
tremendous. We do the homemade baked cheese in the winter.
It's a
with
gourmet style baked cheese.
Yeah,
Which is,
with like a garlic bread dipping in marinara. That's pretty decadent and amazing.
Wow.
no one does anything like that around here.
Yeah, and I mean, really, all the empanadas. It's funny because we always ask people like if they get the flight or if they just mix and match. Like, what was your favorite? And it really is like of 100 people, it would be like 33, 33, 33. It's just. There's no like they're all equally popular, which makes us happy because it seems like we're on the right track with the empanadas, which is good.
It also frustrates people when we show up and we don't have their favorite.
Yeah.
And I love it, and I think that that what you guys are doing is just so amazing. And I think the empanadas, and then I love cheesesteaks. I went to college in Pennsylvania, and my family's from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And I was actually just, if anyone follows me on Instagram at Justin Bizzarro, you can see that Deborah and I were just spent a weekend in Philadelphia, and we definitely stopped at Gino's and Pat's amongst other places to try all the different cheesesteaks since we eat our way through everywhere. We are in the food business, so that's how we do our tourism. We usually just eat our way through cities. And
Yep.
but which brings me to the next thing. I mean, you've had this and you figured out, and now you've made your way through COVID, and what are the next steps? And so,
I
and
knew where you were going.
where are you going, and what are your goals, and what are your hopes for the future? I mean, 3.5 years in, it's been probably quite a bumpy ride, and you've pivoted nicely, but the hardship was obviously there, and it would be foolish to think there are not more hardships coming. So, I mean, how do you sort of see all this?
We have plans.
Yeah, we've recently decided that we're going to look into brick and mortar for the company, focusing on empanadas.
Since they've become so popular and handheld and
Yeah, we're going to change the brand and kind of start over a little bit, but with a new name and everything, that'll be, if people follow us, they can start to guess what the new name will be, just from our current posts and stuff like that. We're starting to sort of plant seeds for the transition.
you're the first one hearing this outside of family, by the way.
Yeah, congratulations.
Well, and I think it's 100% what you should be doing. And one of the things I love about this is if you look at Shake Shack, is the chef who started, and the gentleman who started, he was very into like starting one here and one there, and he didn't want a franchise, and he didn't want a bunch of restaurants. But what he learned over time was how to better his restaurants, and he would take things that were successful out of one restaurant to start another restaurant. And he had the burgers, and he had this idea of starting this restaurant just doing burgers because they were so popular in his restaurants out of a shack at that's not Central Park, I think it's Bryant Park, but I can't remember. I haven't lived in New York City in like 9 years. But
yeah.
But wherever it is, it's the same idea what you just did, which is very important. You took something that's very successful and you're like, this can stand alone and we can build a concept around it. It can still be popular on the truck, but I'm seeing that this is successful on its own and I can build a brand, and maybe it turns into something bigger like a franchise because, well, there is no empanada franchise like that just serves them in the drive-thru or quick service or however you guys would do it, or restaurant style.
What did teachers say? Don't study ahead, or don't work ahead.
Yeah,
That's what you're doing right now.
I always work ahead.
We're all thinking that. I mean, I'm a little bit older than Emily, and I want to be retired on a beach in 10 years.
Yeah.
And I sort of see a path to get there with
we both do. Yeah.
With the new thing.
Again, it was a click. It was like the night that we did the Facebook thing. It was something like he said, I see you doing something with food because you love to make people happy with your food. And then from that moment on, something clicked and we put things into motion. And so the other night we were sitting. Yeah,
it was kind of the night where we did like 6 different empanadas on the truck.
And people were just clamoring over them. And we looked at each other because we've been talking again about how do we grow the brand, or how do we expand, or how do we, go into, like, we had an idea to make a brewery called the Raccoonery. Which we own the URL for, by the way. And then like when we talk, like, it's like empanadas is something that's scalable. It's something that we can do and it's easy, and you can have like a footprint of like a Jimmy John's or a Chipotle or something like that. And college kids will love that. They can get a empanada to go to class, handheld. Tell me I'm wrong. You want to invest? How much?
No, you're 100% right. Skyler's drooling. He's like, oh, we don't have that type of stuff on my campus.
Yeah, no, I'd be there probably every day.
Right, and that's our theory, is like we're going to definitely look into being as close to a campus as we can be, if not on a campus, and to have like 8 to 10 different empanadas, rotating with different sauces that people can pick from, and maybe do like flatbreads or something if people don't want fried items, just to offer that, but it would still be the same sort of stuff as the empanadas already are. So, it would keep it in that, and then some sides. So keeping it, the menu will be pretty simple, but the theme and the fun, everyone will be wearing ears, the trash cans will have raccoons on them and stuff.
Yeah, little thing, like little raccoons like poking out of the trash can, not actual.
Yeah, not actual raccoons.
Like stickers of raccoons.
Yeah.
I wish it was actual.
But keeping the vibe, the Little Bites vibe going with the new brand, we're pretty excited about that.
Well, and I love it, and I think the potential there is everyone's rushed into burgers and everything else under the sun, where this is where no one's looking and where there's a chance to grow and opportunity. And you guys are so far ahead that anyone who even tries to even catch up to you guys at this point is not going to be able to, in my opinion, because I feel that you've learned so much in such a short period of time, and you pivoted so well that that you guys are onto something big for sure. And I love empanadas, and I think it's a great idea. You can literally anything handheld in this world right now that people can take on the go, based on not wanting to sit in restaurants. I mean, I still do, but I can tell you that majority of the people around don't like sitting as much anymore. They like the food to go or on the go. So
you can picture it, can't you? You can picture yourself walking into this little spot and then having a choice of these empanadas. You can get 2, 3, 4, 5. If you want to go crazy and get 6, which we've had people do, and then you have your choice of dipping sauce, and then and then you can just walk. It's not, you can't eat nachos on the go.
Yeah. And one of the things that that I love about what you're talking about is I hope they're still around, but in the Netherlands, there's a restaurant chain. I've spent a lot of time there, called Walk to Walk, and it's literally, they basically have figured out how to make Chinese food on the go, where you can literally walk with it, and it's easy to eat, whether it's handheld stuff or easy to get food that's easier for chopsticks or a fork. In a smaller bowl, but they've literally made it so you can walk with it, which is what we're talking about here, and it's what I think is essential, and what we're talking about also is people are eating more often. They're just eating less, and to sit down for a long lunch or a long dinner or whatever is less likely, especially in urban environments. And when you're talking about with kids and parents, people are grazing they want a lot more smaller items to everyone to share. So empanadas is also, if people are going to eat a meal, everyone can order something or a few, and everyone can share something different. So
Yep.
I think that's the world we're looking at very much.
And you have to look at the overhead costs too, like for people to stay, like if another pandemic or another variation comes, like big corporations can make it through, like even you look at Kroger, and they're not raising their prices on a lot of things because they're trying to write it out, because they either have contracts or they've got enough in the bank to be able to not pass it on to the consumer as much. They're not breaking it off in them as much. But like small businesses and things, they don't have that luxury. So there's going to be a lot of these restaurants that are like mid-size or like even like slightly finer dining. Like, I mean, I'm gonna say like Fogo de Chao, but they're a big brand, but like as an example, people like that, like they're not going to be able to sustain making it through this if things keep going the way they are.
Well, the thing is in the other thing is we have to look at labor and what's going on in sort of workforces, and whether or not the food service workforce is ever going to come back in some areas that we've seen that sort of have been decimated with the employees and what that looks like in terms of your business models. And so I think that the simpler you can keep things, which you guys are looking at, you're looking at one product line, you're looking at making the adventure part of it and getting back to the basics of a successful line, and it's important in today's world, and I like that. I think there's a lot of versatility and things that you can put inside empanadas, and you talked about the desserts. So it's basically you're creating one vehicle, but the diversity within that vehicle is endless, in my opinion, in terms of savory and sweet and whatever other spicy, etc., that you can come up with. So
one of the big things in the restaurant industry, and people that are wanting to get into entrepreneurship in the restaurant industry, in food service of any kind, is that being able to take a product and use it in different ways. So taking the chicken breast or a pork, like being able to, like bacon is something that we use in so many different ways on the truck, like if you can limit your SKUs and use them in different ways, and maybe like you can make so many different things out of like having it saves a lot of money and time, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, even like with our bread that we use for the cheesesteaks and stuff, we buy a size bigger than we need and cut them down and use the nubbins for garlic bread and things like that. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think it's exactly what you're talking about, is how can you limit the number of ingredients but make it have it create as many items as possible with ease. I mean, you don't want to complicate your life, but within your processes and procedures and equipment that work within your truck or your footprint if you're a restaurant. So as we start to finish up, I mean, what are the things that you guys feel that, you've learned the most as entrepreneurs, either as an overall concept, it can be food, outside of food, accounting, whatever it is, and what are sort of the things that that you feel that you wish you knew when you got into it that you know now?
That is, let's ponder.
I know
that was a whole lot in one question. So,
first thing was get an accountant. We learned that right away.
Do not try to do your own books. Get an accountant. Into the black accounting, whatever. In the black, they're great. That she helps us out. She tells us when we need a raise because we're gonna hit a different tax bracket. Don't
waste your time. You have better things to do than worry about your books. Basically, is the way I look at it. And I don't know what I'm doing in taxes. I'm gonna let somebody do that.
In 100%, do your research. Do all your due diligence. Just because you were at Thanksgiving and someone liked your potato salad and you've had 27 people tell you have the best potato salad in the world, don't go open a potato salad truck with your 401k. Research, see what the market's doing, because there's so many, like you have to get licensed in every county, you have to be inspected in every county, you have to pay taxes in every county. Certain times you have to pay the city depending on where it is. You have to do fire inspections and things like that, so don't throw good money behind bad. So do your research first before you really jump into this. And I would say another thing, if you really want to go into food trucking, reach out to food trucks in your area. And we're a pretty tight-knit community, most of us. And a lot of us, we've done it before, we'll let people come work on the truck to get a feel for what it's like. So be willing to reach out and say, hey, I want to do this. Do you mind if I come work, even for free? I mean, we always pay people when they do it, but can I work on your truck to kind of get an idea how this goes?
And that's eye-opening for them, it seems.
And I know it's like when Skyler or college students come in and I put them in the freezer first. I'm like, yeah, you guys got to work in the freezer for 90 days to see if we're going to make it out of that. Because you got to understand where everyone's coming from before you can think you can manage people. You got to understand what they go through in the facilities. So I totally see the merit in that. And I also do with other entrepreneurs or people that want to come in or do R&D or think they want to get into the food business in co-packing is come spend a day here and actually do R&D with us and see what it takes just to go through an R&D process and commercialize a product, because it's not as easy as everyone thinks. And once you get out of cobbler status and into co-packing, the regulatory compliance and stuff, as you mentioned, it's enormous.
USDA.
Yeah,
we're gonna reach back out to you.
Because
at some point.
Yeah, awesome.
Speaking of co-packing.
Yeah, because if we expand, if the new thing works and we can expand it or franchise it, we're gonna definitely want to go that route so it's consistent everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely, and we do a lot of that, and I recommend it. If you can find someone who can consistently reproduce your product for your restaurant, we do it for soups and other products that I won't get too far into detail, but a lot of meats and things that you're talking about, sandwiches and stuff like that, because it does become more efficient to essentially do it and distribute it. But as long as they...
It's an empanada. Like it's we're not talking about making like a beef Wellington here. It's something that you can give a recipe and you can make it, and it's a filling, and you fill the empanada.
Yep, absolutely.
3.5 minutes. I know I'm hoping you're going to edit this because don't give all our. But no, like we've definitely got big plans. Larry just got me a necklace. He somehow found an empanada necklace, so I have an empanada around my neck. But
yeah, and I don't think what I think you guys have is, and I want to be sure because I think a lot of entrepreneurs don't see this, is one, you have your relationship. That's probably the basis of your business. Two, you guys realize you're part of the brand right now. And whatever legacy happens, whether it's franchising or whether it's whatever, it's the legacy of you guys that's left out. Everyone already knows Colonel Sanders, and whether or not people know the McDonald brothers or the guy's name just skipped my mind.
Croc.
Yeah, Croc. Yeah, we know the characters he created. And so it's the same idea. It just depends on how you build the legacy, but it's still an influence of who you are. And whether it's a character you create or it's you yourself, the brand, that's all within you. And I go both routes. I have my personal brands like the podcast, and Food Service Partners builds its own brands, and we've started building our own food brands, but I also manage other people's food brands or production or co-packing. So I've seen it all, but I think one of the important things is that it's better, even when I manage it, that the people that are out there doing it or doing their own social media or putting their own personality into their brands as they're growing it, no matter how big they get, as long as they're involved, because that is the legacy of the brand. No matter whether it's sold or not, those are really the things that continue on after you, the core values you put in place, the leadership that you provide, the community, the jobs you create, so on and so forth. I think that's pretty huge. And so thank you guys. I think it's awesome what you guys are doing. I think your goals are are good, especially during these times where we really need to be fighting for food service. So I appreciate it. And I appreciate you guys taking the time to be on the podcast too. And I love what you guys are doing.
Yeah,
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Take a moment if I don't know if you like baseball or not, but look into the Savannah Bananas and their business model concept. And that's, we kind of have the same mentality. I don't know if you've ever.
Yeah. Are they the banana slugs?
No,
different.
They're different.
But it's Savannah. It's the Savannah Bananas. They don't throw out a first pitch. They throw out an actual banana.
Okay. I like that.
Yes. What do you look? Okay. But no, we love what we're doing. I woke up the other day and I told it was this morning, because like the Monday after a holiday, I used to dread going back to work. I used to be an insurance underwriter. And I used that morning when the alarm went off and I had to get up, get my computer going. I don't dread any of that anymore. I have fun. I love what we do, and I love the vision that we have for the future. And I'm super excited, and because I can see it, right, Larry?
Yeah,
we can see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and
thank you for having us on.
Well, thank you. And I'm definitely going to have Skyler reach out to you guys, and we're going to record a part 2 because I want to understand how you guys break out your weeks and how you guys manage, tasks amongst each other. So if you're up for it, I'd love to do a part 2 at some point if we can get one scheduled and sort of dive deeper in and talk more about sort of the inner workings of how you manage it and how you train everyone. And it doesn't need to be any major details, but just anything you guys would want to share. I'd love to have you guys back on.
Yeah, I have 11-year-old, or he came out of me, but like he's stepdad. But so I have 11-year-old too that is in sports that we got to juggle too. So we'd
be happy to come back and do.
But yes, we'd definitely be happy to come back.
Awesome, and thank you guys. Do you guys want to give everyone your social media information, where they can find you online, what your hours of operation are, etc.?
Yeah, it's www.lilbitesfoodtruck.com. It's LIL bitesfoodtruck.com. That's our website. You can see our calendar there, where we'll be. If you're looking to book us, you can kind of start there to see if we're available the day you're looking for. And then we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and they're all at Lil Bites. And when I see all the shenanigans and animal pictures and fun that's going on the truck.
And I just wanted to confirm that that's at Little Bites Food Truck or at Little Bites Truck.
It's at Lil Bites Truck.
At Little Bites Truck, perfect. And that's LILBITES truck, correct?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So everyone, please check them out, and thank you guys. Seriously, you guys, that was awesome, Larry and Emily, and I wish you guys luck, and I look forward to having you guys on for a part 2, and that'll give you guys time to think about questions or think you guys want to ask as well. So I think the audience always looks forward to those part 2 because the interviewees always come back.
Yeah. It's going to be like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
What about this? Yeah. So.
That's where you can say, I can't believe you allowed that to go on the air. I wanted you to cut that, and then we can talk about that as well. So
yeah, we're always game for doing podcasts and, letting people know just how excited we are about the business that we're running and putting our love into the food to the people.
Yeah, and right now, and just in terms of enthusiasm, and I keep saying this, is people don't realize the competition in the food is good right now. We need more young minds or entrepreneurs or people wanting to change of pace to get into food that bring new looks to it. And we're just at that stage, and it's not competition. It's not bad for anyone. It's just we need to bring it back home and localize with new ideas and entrepreneurs who create jobs and things like that. And again, the best way I know how to do that is you got to personalize your business, and you guys have done such an amazing job of making it who you are and your personalities. I mean, it really reigns true. So
we got to send you a picture of our tattoos.
Yeah.
Then you'll really be like, holy shit, seriously? Y'all are that into this? Okay, all right.
I was not expecting that. But I definitely...
Emily has a tattoo of a panda in a chef hat holding a knife by the wrong end on her arm.
And a raccoon eating blueberries. And you have Well, we both have.
And I have a panda eating empanadas.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I get all worked up when we talk about it because I love it so much. I love what we do. So, but yes, have us back for a second part, and I'll think about it, and I'll.
We look forward to talking to you guys again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they always say if someone's willing to get a tattoo of your brand, it's becoming more than a brand; it's becoming a lifestyle. So, I would say that that's where you guys are. So.
Yeah. So I'm a forearm. Can't go back to corporate training anymore.
Yeah, that's a lot. I love it. So, all right. Cool. Thank you guys again.
Thank you guys.
And anyone, please share what we're doing on the podcast. If you like the episode, share it with someone. We're trying to add value and give value to life. That's all we ask. We do this for free. The entrepreneurs come up with here to share their story and spread the word about their business. But all their voice can only get out there as long as you guys keep sharing it and promoting it and telling people to listen in. So thank you guys, and everyone have a great day.